From the depths of the Appalachian Mountains, I waited, as ancient as the trees themselves, patient as the night that swallowed the world. The forest was a place of silence, but it was not a dead silence. It was the kind that wraps itself around you, thick and suffocating, pressing on your chest like a weight you can't see. My senses reached out into the darkness, stretching beyond the cabin where the man lived, beyond his dog, Jax, who thought he had the world figured out. They were oblivious to the truth, to the presence that lingered, always watching. I'd been watching him for days, his every move, his every breath, the rhythm of his life. The man thought he was secure, safe inside the walls of his home. He believed his routine gave him control. But I knew differently. The forest had been my domain long before his kind ever thought to build homes here. And tonight, I would remind him of that. The dog's growl broke the stillness, a low primal warning that carried through the crisp air. It was enough to stir something deep within me. They were starting to feel it, the pull of the forest, the weight of unseen eyes. His growl was a signal, one I took pleasure in. He could feel me, even if he couldn't see me. That was enough for me. It wasn't fear I sought, at least not yet, but curiosity, the kind of unease that makes the air heavy, that makes the heart race with questions. The man moved through his home, unaware that his fate was already sealed. I watched from the shadows, unseen as he moved about, preparing for his evening. His footsteps were heavy, his mind occupied with mundane tasks. How simple, how predictable. I smiled to myself in the dark, knowing he was close to the edge of something he could never return from. When the door creaked open and he stepped outside, I stayed hidden. The air shifted as the weight of his footsteps broke the quiet. The flashlight he carried danced in the darkness, casting long, twisted shadows along the path to the workshop. The dog pressed close to his side, a trembling shadow in the night. They both felt it, I knew, but neither of them understood what it was. Not yet. I could have attacked then, could have stepped out from the trees and ended it in an instant. But I was patient, far more patient than any mortal. I wanted them to see, to experience the growing dread. I let the air grow still, too still, and I watched as the man froze, as if caught between instincts and the calm of foolish denial. The crack of branches echoed through the trees, a sudden eruption of noise that made his heart pound. The dog's growls grew louder, frantic, as if it knew it was only a matter of time. I watched him approach the workshop, his hand trembling as he reached for the door. He was scared now, I could taste it in the air. But it wasn't enough. No, I needed more than that. I needed him to believe there was nowhere safe, nowhere to hide. So I pushed further. I stirred the forest into a frenzy, snapping twigs and rustling leaves in a chorus of chaos. I moved through the trees, just out of his reach, careful not to be seen, only to be felt. I wanted him to hear it, hear the noise that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. I wanted him to feel the panic rising in his chest, to question the very fabric of his world. I could sense him turning, hesitating, his eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of what was lurking. When the man retreated, heart pounding, back toward the house, I followed, staying close but always just out of sight. I could feel his fear becoming palpable, thickening the air between us. It was delicious, the way he feared what he couldn't see. But still, he didn't run. He didn't scream. He only retreated, taking refuge in the false safety of his house. That was his mistake. The darkness wasn't done with him. Not yet. I let him think he was safe inside. I gave him moments of respite, seconds to convince himself it was just the wind, or some wild animal that had wandered too close. But then, the murmuring began. Soft at first, as if the very trees themselves were speaking, whispering secrets in a language he couldn't understand. His eyes darted to the windows, but there was nothing to see, only the oppressive dark that filled the yard. I let the murmurs build, let the sound swell into something unsettling, almost like a chant. His fear grew with every passing second, and I savored it. His mind raced, trying to make sense of something it could never comprehend. But it wasn't just fear I wanted. I wanted him to feel small, insignificant, a mere speck in a world far older than he could ever understand. The presence of something greater than him, something timeless, something that thrived in the night, was what I sought to reveal. I watched as he moved from window to window, unable to escape what I had created. His body tensed with every sound, every footstep that cracked the gravel outside, but still he did not run. He couldn't. He was trapped in his own mind, as much as he was in his house. He wanted to believe he could control this situation, that if he stayed calm enough, everything would go back to normal. But I knew better. I circled the house again, drawing closer with each passing minute. My presence was a shadow, an itch just beneath his skin, one he couldn't scratch. Every time he moved, I moved. Every time he froze, I knew it. His every step, his every breath was a song to me. And when I heard him move to the window, I shifted my presence, making sure he could feel me just out of sight. I wanted him to know he was being hunted, but I wouldn't show myself. Not yet. By the time dawn arrived, I had done my work. The man was a wreck, his nerves frayed beyond repair. The silence had come, but it wasn't peaceful. It was the silence before the storm. I had left him with nothing but doubt, the gnawing certainty that the night had changed him, that he would never feel safe again. I had let him see me, but not enough to understand. And that was the key, the mystery, the not knowing. I could have ended it all right then, but why? It was far more satisfying to leave him wondering, to leave him unsettled, always waiting for the next movement in the shadows. I retreated into the woods as the light of day began to push back the darkness. But I wasn't gone. No, I would return when the time was right. The man and his dog might have thought they were safe, but they were wrong. The mountain was mine, and the night was my domain. The game was far from over.